Hello and welcome everyone. This is Phoenix with your Patriot Health Report for the weekend of January 11th, 2025. All the health facts you need to know for the Patriot on the go. And as usual, I am joined by Bob Gilpatrick of Boomers Forever Young. This week, Bob's going to be talking about something very interesting. Your life path number. What is that? We're about to find out. Many of you may know what that is and how to identify it, how to initiate it, and much, much more. He's going to cover a lot of things today, but that's the primary topic we have. I'm pretty sure we've never covered this before. So let's get right to the situation here with the expert, Bob Gilpatrick of Boomers Forever Young. Bob, how are you? How are things going down in Florida there, buddy?
I'm doing really well, Phoenix. Thank you. And things are progressing in Florida. I came down the elevator this morning and was crowded with appliances and men who were working to help replace appliances that got destroyed in the flood/hurricane. And people are getting to that point where their walls and floors are replaced and they are beginning to put their condos and their homes back together, finalize the construction and replacements that are needed. So there's this atmosphere of progress that we're starting to feel even more and more each day.
Well, that's very good. I'm glad to hear that. I tell you what, with everything that's been going on, as everyone knows, the tragedy in California right now that's still going on as we're recording this, Bob. They're still having many fires, and it's going to be a while till they can have that feeling of gratitude and recovery. So it seems to be we've been in a period here with the two hurricanes back to back and the winter storm, and now these fires kind of building up to be interesting year we have here. But I'm so glad to hear that. Before we get into our primary topic today about life path, which is really cool, I can't wait to hear about that. Or let's see, what I'd like to know, can you share with us if there's anything special going on, any different things with the company, and any news and updates before we get into our primary topic today?
Yeah, so this, weekend of the 11th of January here in 2024, we have our best sale of the year going on. Probably be all the way till December before we do something like this again, and it'll go through the weekend. With Sunday being the 12th. And we have 25% off on a large number of our products, including our barley and Boomer Boost and our other powders, our powdered probiotic and lignans, etc. And so people are getting those products at 25% off. And when they put them onto the auto ship program, they get an extra 10% off plus a free shaker bottle. And you get free shipping. So this is a really great time for people to take advantage of that. If you make your way to the website and click on the on sale page, you'll see everything there that's on sale. And just the regular product page will show you all of the products.
Very good. I have to tell everybody, I've said it in the past, but yeah, auto ship program, boom, I got that. And I got the 10% off too. I got my Myotrol, my Boomers, Gladiator Barley, all on the auto ship. Makes it so much easier. And again, the free shipping and 10% off. Yeah, I'm not going to complain about that. That's a really good deal you guys have. It's really, I hope people can take advantage of that. So that's really cool. Anything else that's going on, man?
Yeah, yesterday I had a visitor that came to the office to pick up his Gladiator barley and to talk for a while. And he's been listening to this program for 10 years now, Phoenix, and he's been coming to visit us at the office once every few months for the last 10 years.
Oh, wow.
And he stopped by yesterday and we had a talk for about an hour just about how his life was going, what he was up to, what new things he was doing, what challenges he was experiencing, and we shared a bunch of resources. He showed me a few new websites that he had learned about, talked to me about a new song that he had written that he's got in post production right now. He's going to send it to me when it's over with. And I was talking to him also about new techniques that he could use for specific issues in his life. And it was just really great to see him again, and really great to know that he became associated with us from listening to PIR.
Wow, that's very cool. And you've told me so many stories like that. And I tell you what, we have a great audience. You know this. And I've often said before, I cannot tell you how many guests I've interviewed or different people, and they've contacted me later, Bob, and they're like, oh my gosh, who are these people who listen to you? Because they'll go on different programs and they'll have a response from our listeners like they've never gotten anywhere else. They're like, oh my goodness, these are nice, intelligent people, and just like really cool. And that's not a one-off. I've had multiple people tell me that over the years. So no surprise.
Yeah.
So it's very
Yeah,
cool.
we've had other people come to visit us as well here in St. Petersburg that learned about us on PIR. And we have other people that we've been in touch with for 10 years that have been uh, allowing us to help them, and they've been purchasing our products, including medical doctors that we met that listen to your show, that buy our products every month for themselves and their families. And
Very good.
so we always light up when someone says, "Oh yeah, I was listening to you in Phoenix," and you know that that's how we found out about you. And we just met another couple recently that stopped by the office that listened to replays of this show while they were commuting back and forth between two different places that they used to commute between quite often. And they came here to visit as well about 3 weeks ago. They were here. They're from the West, but they were here visiting friends. They had driven their RV across the country, and they came down to visit us while they were here in this region.
Very nice. Yeah, it was very nice. I always
Yeah.
like to hear those stories. But you know, the best part about all of that is how many people you guys have helped over the years, and the testimonies you guys get. It's amazing, and it's a truly a testament to your products, how you guys communicate and interact with the public, which is again, and you've heard me say this before, and I've heard it so many times from so many people. Your customer service and how people are treated when they call in with just questions is like no company they've ever dealt with. Truly.
Well, thank you. And we do get a lot of testimonials, and that was one of the things I wanted to do today, Phoenix, was we've been getting testimonials from numerous people and it just seems that this particular group is older people that are almost ready to enter middle age, which we say begins at 85. And but they're in their 70s and 80s, and they've been using our Myotrol product, which is a recently invented product, and they've been getting so much better and getting so much stronger as a result of using it, that they've sent us their testimonials. And what we were able to do was we got onto a recorded call with the inventor of Myotrol, Eric Kurtz, and we read him some of these testimonials and then asked him to comment about what Myotrol was doing for that person that would allow them to make such a dramatic apparent de-aging where they had gained capabilities that they hadn't had for decades. And so what I wanted to do today was just tell people without reading the whole testimonial and hearing, Eric's complete response, because it would take too long, but just to give a summary of that. And then later, if people want to see the actual video that we made of Eric's comments, we'll give those to you, Phoenix, to share with people.
Excellent. Now, after Bob does that, everyone look in the description box below of this video, and those links that Bob will be providing for us will be right there. That's where you'll find those. All right, sounds really good, Bob. Yeah, let's hear that. I mean, you've told us some before, but I'm interested in hearing what Eric, the inventor himself, had to say about this. Please.
Yes. Yeah. So the first one was a gentleman who is 70 years old. And he's the one, Phoenix, I told you about, that used to select a time during the month when he would do his yard work, and it would take him 2 days to do it. And so he wrote us a testimonial saying he went out to start his yard work, and he cut the grass in both the front and backyard, and he did all the edging, and he cleaned the sidewalk, and then he went and worked in his flower beds as well. And he was all finished, and he looked up, and it had only taken him 2 hours to do it. And
That's great.
and his wife came out and was so surprised, and she said to him, "Man, that used to take you 2 full days to do that, and here you are just 2 hours in, and you're done." It's like, what are you going to do with yourself for the rest of the day? So he went for a 5-mile bike ride.
Nice, nice. Oh, wow.
In place of spending the rest of the day doing his yard work.
That's
And
amazing.
so we were talking to Eric. He's like, what could possibly, be happening with a 70-year-old man that this dramatic a change would occur? And he said that you have to realize that multiple systems of the body are being stimulated by Myotrol, and the reason for it is that when we get to be in our late 30s, we start to have a precipitous decline in our muscular strength and in our endurance and in our energy. And this is okay when you're in your late 30s, but the older you get, the worse it gets, and the more serious it gets, because you now, without enough muscle strength or endurance or energy, are very susceptible to illness and also falls, in particular falls. And we've had some serious situations here in St. Petersburg back over the past year, where people have died from falls. And we're not talking very old people that were walking with a walker. Some of them were people in their 40s that were just a little less stable on their feet, caught their toe on a crack in the sidewalk, and cracked their head and actually died.
I
And
know.
so
Yes.
and the older you get, the more seriously you have to take the idea of keeping your muscle strength and endurance up so that you don't break a hip or something else. And it's a very, very common thing with older people to have a fall, and it is very rarely a mild outcome. Usually it leads to something very serious.
You know, I
And
monitor
so,
I monitor 911 where I live, and
yeah,
what the most common thing that comes across 911 in our area is fall victim. Fall victim happens all the time. And then the next thing you hear is lift assist. I mean, they need help getting up, and fall victim is the most common, followed by difficulty breathing, and then chest pains or cardiac, and
yeah,
vehicle accidents after that. But number one, every 24 hours is fall victim.
yeah, yeah, exactly. And if someone falls and breaks their hip, which is a common thing, only about half of them are going to live for another year. And a lot of people will trip and fall and break their hip, or they've lost muscle mass, which has also made their bones brittle because the two are intertwined, and they actually broke their hip and then fell as a result.
I've heard of
And
that.
as they fell, it broke their hip worse and perhaps, hit their head as well. So that's why Myotrol is such an important thing that Eric was explaining that, the multiple systems of production of energy, increasing your endurance and your strength. And a lot of times when people talk about how they're feeling better, it's related to endurance. So it's this gentleman who's cutting his grass without stopping for, 2 straight hours. He's able to work. People will talk about, well, how do you know that you're feeling better? You're getting better. Well, I was able to walk further. I was able to walk up the little hill, and it's this endurance that helps them. And the opposite, getting tired, can be very dangerous because as you start to run out of energy and muscular strength, you're more susceptible to falling. And these issues of energy and endurance and strength are serious, quality of life issues that, are really extremely important. The other thing you said was there's a whole mind-body connection between your brain and your body, and they know what the pathways are, which we'll talk about in a minute, that connect your mind and body together so you're more stable, et cetera, et cetera. And then we had a second testimonial, Phoenix. This was a man that is a pickleball player, and he's 79 years old. And boy, do we ever see a lot of that here in Florida. People that haven't been exercising for a long time now, because of pickleball, are able to go and play a sport again. But it's the dream for the orthopedic surgeons around town because lots of the people that go start playing pickleball get injured.
Oh my goodness.
And
The dream of
and
the orthopedic surgeons.
yeah,
I can't believe
yeah,
you said that, but it's true. It's true.
yeah, it's true. And so this man was talking about how his pickleball game improved, and he talked about what he called an APS, which meant a shot that's around the post. So apparently, I've never played pickleball, but I can imagine, like from playing tennis and racquetball, he's made this special shot that is difficult to do, is what he was saying. And all of his friends were amazed by it. And now he plays in Texas. And when he wrote this testimonial, it was hot in Texas. He plays pickleball now for 3 hours in the morning and 2 more hours in the afternoon. So this is not somebody that's, going out on Sunday afternoon for 45 minutes and, walking around hitting a ball back and forth. This guy's hitting around the post shots for 5 hours.
That's crazy. It's
And
amazing.
he's 79 years old. And his description of Myotrol was, this is a sweet product.
A sweet product. That's
Yeah,
cool. That's very good. Those are some good
yeah, yeah.
testimonials.
And so Eric was saying that, you know, that one of the ways that he engineered this product, Myotrol, was to target your mitochondria, which is the powerhouse of your cells and therefore the powerhouse of your physical body, your biological body. And that there's a compound NADH that is in your mitochondria and NAD plus, and they need to have a balance. Those two things have to be balanced. You also have to have enough NAD, the substrate, and it's controlled by a gene that gets expressed that tells your body how to make it. And so they were able to figure out which gene that was, and Eric was able to figure out how to stimulate the activation of that gene, which goes dormant as you age. And a really big part of aging is the progressive dispossession of your energy resources. And as energy goes, this is a base requirement. It's a macro requirement for everything else in your body. And so if your energy production drops off in your mitochondria, it has a negative effect on everything else in your body.
Mm.
And so part of the creation of Myotrol was to be sure that the gene for the creation of energy was being stimulated by the compounds that are in the Myotrol product.
Very cool. Wow.
So this was another person. This was a woman, and she referred to this right at the beginning of her testimonial as a miracle for her. And right away on day one, when she first took it, she started feeling the difference. And after about 5 days, when she was sure it wasn't a coincidence, she started telling her family and friends about it. And this is a woman that had multiple brain tumors.
Oh, wow.
And as a result, the strength in her legs had diminished severely. She had a lot of trouble with her balance and had very low energy. And all of these things improved right away on day one when she started taking Myotrol. And we were asking Eric about this, and he gave us a very detailed explanation about brain and muscle connection and how brain derived nootropic factor has a connection where your brain wants to do something and then your physical body has to be able to do it. And the BDNF is the signaling pathway that allows you to do it. And they made sure in the creation of Myotrol that the gene that promotes that signaling pathway was being activated. And he was also talking about a hormone called irisin, which recently was discovered is in the cerebral spinal fluid that's in your brain and all down along your spinal cord, which is, that's how you send nerve signals out to your entire body. And a lot of physiologists that have studied aspects of the human brain and body are saying that basically between your heart muscle, which has its own nervous system, your gut that has nerves in it, your spinal cord, all your peripheral nerves, and your brain is the essence of a human body. And the rest of the human body, the other systems and musculature and bones, are for supporting your nervous system, because your nervous system, including your eyes, is how you perceive the world, your ears, how you hear things, and your brain, how you think and interact with higher consciousness. And so essentially, you are walking around in a protective and functional case that is that's helping to protect your nervous system. And the nervous system is what's alive, and the rest of your body is support systems. And so the hormone irisin that's in your cerebral spinal fluid is a very important hormone and is in very short supply in people that have Alzheimer's disease. And when Eric created Myotrol, he made sure that it contained compounds that were going to increase the production of irisin that would give strength and vitality to your entire nervous system.
Mm.
And so it was very interesting to be able to um, have Eric do this for us, to give us this explanation in relation specifically to direct results that people saw from taking Myotrol. And I'll make a call right after we're done recording, Phoenix, to make sure we can get those videos of Eric's explanation, into your into the notes for this program.
Very good. And reminder again, everyone, what Bob's talking about and the inventor of Myotrol himself. Look in the description box below. Click on those links, and I'm sure you'll find it fascinating with much, much more detail, like Bob was saying, than he was able to give right now. So very good. Is there anything more with that, Bob, or are we going to head over to life path now. Is that our next
Yeah,
destination, the
yeah.
life path?
No, I think we should head over to the life path part of it for sure. And you know, there's a lot to this um, concept of life path. And if you read like the books that one of your guests that you had on before, Phoenix, Glennis McCants, she writes books on numerology and has really
Mm-hmm.
become a very well-known celebrity numerologist, almost because of uh, her commitment to what it is, why she's doing it, and who she is. And you know, in the field of numerology, they have a specific part that they call life path. And she was, a really amazing person in that she used to be a comedian. I don't know if she talked to you about this
No,
on her
no,
show,
no.
but she used to be a comedian, and her whole thing was that she really loved um, helping people by making them laugh, and so they were happy, for a day. But then, she was her next concept was, well, how can I make people happy for a lifetime?
Hmm.
And she was able to, you know, become through all of her research a really profound expert numerologist to the point where people, really think when they meet her, they really think that she's like a psychic. But her contention is no, it's all in the numbers. And your life path is something that's in the numbers, and she talks about that. And she talks about Pythagoras, and Pythagoras was really the first philosopher that talked about numerology and why it was important. And he believed in, boy, I'll tell you, this was so far ahead of your time and his time. He believed that when somebody was born, that there was a specific vibe or tone that the universe was putting out at that time, and that your when you were born was affected by this vibration, and it affected your character and also your destiny. And he was the first person that really was a promoter of mathematics and numerology and the philosophy of numbers. And of course later, we have scientists that figured out that each thing, each thing, living or not, gives off a vibration, and that you can actually assign a numerical equivalent to that vibration, and that you can use mathematics to infuse certain beneficial vibrations into crystals like quartz crystals that can then transmit the vibration of, say, a biological compound, an emotional energetic state, and they can be transmitted through crystals utilizing embedding mathematical equivalents into those crystals. And it just goes on and on. That's like the basic explanation of it, of what we now know for sure these days, and how the concept of vibration can be engineered and then delivered to us, as opposed to Pythagoras was saying the universe itself is having a specific tone on the day you were born. And this has become now, Glennis, modern day numerology, where based on the day that you were born, you can calculate your life path. And it's the totality of the numbers in your birthday. And she explains that in her books. Her her really popular book was called Glennis Has Your Number, and people can get that book, and they can read all about all these things can be read about in there, and there's other aspects too than just the life path that that can have an effect. And so a lot of philosophers that believe that the moment of your birth is this massive transformation, and it's the instant that you kind of step through a door into the reality of a human life, and the curtain is going up on the play of your life, and your life path based on the day you were born helps to give a broad outline as to what type of opportunities and challenges and lessons that you're going to encounter in your lifetime. And, it's also going to reveal things you're going to face that will become your biggest struggles. And it's kind of like what your personality is, and it gives rise to a possible path that you will travel, and which can be discovered through other numbers, because there's other numbers than just your primary life path. Like mine is a 2, but there are other numbers too that are calculated from not only from the date of your birth, but from your name that was given to you at birth. And in Glennis's book, she has a chart that shows which letters of the alphabet correspond to which numbers. And so you get a vast amount of information when you assign a number to the letters in your name. And when you combine that together with the numbers of your birth, you get this very complete and in some ways complex labyrinth of numbers that help to guide and help to describe your strengths and weaknesses, things to watch out for, things to pay attention to and do more of, and how the different numbers in your chart interact together and explain things. And it also is extremely valuable in relationships. And Glennis wrote another book that was called Love by the Numbers, and she talked about how the power of numerology could really be something beneficial in regard to relationships. And I've personally experienced the value of that myself.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is really good stuff to know, and it's easy. Her books are really easy to read. And she also has a cool website that you can go on and get personal consultations from her.
Very cool.
Pretty awesome.
Now,
Yeah.
let me explain something, and you touched it briefly. If everyone's wondering, what is my life path number? Write your birth date down. Okay, you do your month first, and then put your day that you were born, then the complete year. It was in the 19s, last century, be 19, whatever, or more recent, 2000, 200. And what you do, the first two numbers, you add them together. Okay, and you take the whole of that number, and if it's higher than 10, you add those two together. And then you go to your next set of numbers. You continue on like that until you go all the way through, and it'll divide down into one number less than 10. Okay? It goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. If you get up to 10, 1 plus 0 equals 1. So it only goes 1 through 9. And mine's a 5. My life path number is a 5. I've known this for years. And what those mean, maybe Bob will go a little bit more about that. So that's how you determine what your life path number is. You know what, Bob? Let's get a website also for her. The website that she has, so people can go check that out. Can we do that also?
Yeah, you can. That book, Glennis Has Your Number. She has a website called that.
Okay,
So
I will get that, and I'll be sure and link it in the description box below. Everyone, Glennis has your
yeah,
number.
yeah. So her name is spelled Glynis, and then hasyournumber.com.
GLYNIS hasyournumber.com. And again, that'll be in the description box below. Please continue.
Yeah, so people are wondering, you know, like you were saying, Phoenix, your number is a 5. So mine's an 11 too. If you add my birthday up together, 8 9 50 1956, it gives you an 11, and so that becomes a 2. So, and yours finished up as a 5, and five people who are 5s are very dynamic. My girlfriend Nancy is a 5, and this is a personality of freedom where people tend to love adventure and variety and meeting new people, and also a high degree of curiosity about life. And you can juggle multiple things at the same time, and you like exploring new horizons. And that's the basic gist of somebody who is a 5.
Mm-hmm.
And whereas a person whose number is a 2 is more like a mediator or a peacemaker, and more of the soul of an artist who's maybe a bit shy but perceptive. And a person who's a 2, their characteristics can be both a strength and a weakness. You can be very sensitive towards others, which can be very helpful, but you can also be very sensitive yourself to, the point of neuroses. And so if you were to look at the if you were to look at the compatibility of people who are a 2 and a 5, in general, it's not very good. That it's not something that's recommended to seek out a person who's a 5 if you're a 2, and vice versa.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it creates challenges, but also in numerology, it doesn't mean you shouldn't do it, because there's many other factors to be considered, and you can have other primary numbers or secondary numbers that are compatible, that could create a very good relationship. If you have a separate number that's a 1 or an 8 that you have in common, then that can be extremely beneficial, as long as you can work your way through the tendencies of difficulty that come in the life path of a person who's a 2 or a 5. And so you can begin to see how this could be very helpful in deciding what it is that you want to do. And you can, and the numerology advice or numerology information is also time sensitive, because as you age, you go through different months, different days, different years, different pinnacles. And as you age, different things happen. Just like in astrology, when the stars and the planets are in certain configurations, there's different difficulties and different opportunities. Numerology is the same, and so it's very helpful on a site like with Glennis to be able to have her provide you with a longitudinal type of document that will give you advice through, say, a year's time.
Very cool. Yeah, I tell you what, it is a lot to it, and you can learn a lot. Everybody can start out with that website there. Fascinating. Finding your life path number, and then once you found it, navigating it and using it. It's really interesting things. The name, I ran my name one time years ago. I'll have to do it again, but I've never done the combination. I've just done the basic life path number thing, like you're talking about right there. But like you said, there's so much more to it.
Yeah, and then there's other information about people being able to get help or assistance in discovering their life path or changing their life path. And people change over time. And there's another book that was written by a man named Steve Olsher, who I've met on a couple of occasions, and he wrote a really great book that is called "What Is Your What?" And it's subtitled "Discover the One Amazing Thing You Were Born to Do." And even in his book, he talks about how that doesn't have to be the only thing. You might have been born to do it, but as you get older and you mature, you might find that it's something in addition or something new. And he talked about, you know, some people are okay right now with where they are, where they're headed, what they plan to do with their life, and that's all fine. But some other people want to change. They feel like they're not on their right path, like they feel like something's blocking them from their path, or they're forced to change, you know. And that's the whole story of Moses, how, at 75 years old, he was very comfortable. All his needs were met by his family, but God had other plans for him,
Hmm.
and was forced to give up his comforts in order to be able to walk the path that God had in store for him. And people that want to change can benefit greatly from numerology. They can benefit from books like What Is Your What? And Steve talks about using a strategy where you can make lists. And he gives this to you right in his book, where you can actually write in the book. And he talks about making a list of things that you really love to do. And he encourages people to go back to when they were a child, because quite often people gave up on things that they loved to do during their life because other things got in the way. Maybe people told them that they would never be able to do that type of thing. So he suggests go back to as far back as you can remember, start writing down the things that you really love to do, and then write down on a separate sheet the things that you hate to do. And in a sense, this is a clarity through contrast type of exercise, but not exactly. And in the book, he then shows you how to compare the two things side by side and begin to form a plan as to what it is that you really feel in your heart is your next life path that you are going to change to. And it could be something you longed for your whole life to be or to do, or it could be something new that was stimulated. A lot of people recently, Phoenix, were stimulated to become rescue workers, to become philanthropists. A lot of it had to do with the extreme conditions in the Asheville area of the Carolinas. And that's where Team Rubicon is, which is kind of a rescue mission nonprofit group made up primarily of military retired people. But there's a lot of new interest now that we're hearing about, that I'm hearing about. People want to now say, all right, I want to do something like that. And so they can be inspired by circumstances. And the same thing now with the fires in California. Many times people have been inspired by natural disasters. I know a lady from California who wrote a book about storytelling that was inspired by a fire in California that she escaped from. And she told a story, Phoenix, about how she and her husband just started to flee, and they realized that there were flames and smoke everywhere, and they couldn't really see the road. And this was a road you could easily drive off that was up in the mountains. And out in front of them darted a mountain lion and started running down the road. And they followed this mountain lion in their car. And that mountain lion led them to safety and then darted off into the woods.
You know,
And
okay, hold on one second. I got to say one thing. You can finish
yep,
that, but in my mind, when you're saying that, I can see a mountain lion sitting around with all the cubs. And once upon a time, there was a fire, and I couldn't find my way out. And lo and behold, this human vehicle came up and shined lights so I could see down the road.
so I could
And
see the road. Yeah.
so I
And
was
you know
able to
what?
get to safety.
Yeah. And so maybe it was the headlights that the lion could see better than the
Yeah.
humans. Who knows?
Who knows? I'm
But
sorry. That just popped into my mind.
yeah,
Like who helped who?
uh,
But that's
well, that's
the mutual aid. I mean, that's
yeah,
a common phrase and term used in disaster relief, mutual aid. So
yeah,
anyway, okay, I'll stop right there. Please
yeah.
continue.
No, it's okay. I'm gonna make sure I tell the lady you mentioned that the next time I talk to her. But so the point being, she went on from there to use that story. And in learning to tell that story properly and write a book about it, she became an expert in therapeutic storytelling and public relations storytelling. And again, a whole new life path inspired by an event. But
Wow.
what Steve Olsher is encouraging people to do is don't wait for that. Do the exercises in his book and begin to identify what you might begin to believe is your new life path. And then Steve is also an expert business advisor. And he had a whole podcast that was a business advice podcast. And so then in his book, he talks about how to select the vehicle that you are going to use, whether it's a website, a book, a business association, or some nonprofit endeavor that will give you the structure that you need to actually live out your life path, if such a thing is necessary. And then they talk a lot in other circles about the importance of serving others. And Steve has a section in his book about how to identify who it is that you're serving with your new endeavor. And brings us to some other information about this. And and this is the type of thing that people begin to think about their life path, and they start to think about this calling. It's like, well, where did it come from? Why was I born on that day that gave me this life path? Who am I really as a soul, as my connection to God? And do I have a calling for service that I want to execute? And if I do, have such a calling, it's like, where's it coming from? And to what end? Why? And this is many psychologists and life coaches will encourage people to ask this question. To what end? It's like, so you this is your life path, this is what you're going to do. Well, what's the purpose of it? Why exactly are you doing that? And what do you hope to accomplish? And um, and you want to as best as possible answer that question, because it's going to inform what you do when you have the answer to that question. And a lot of times the answer is not some specific thing, a dollar amount or a number of people served, but it actually is more of this kind of amorphous feeling of integration. It's I have a life that has a desire for a certain sense of satisfaction, that I lived a life that I'm satisfied with, whether it's raising children and grandchildren, having a specific business that helped the community, a nonprofit that helped. podcasts that help people. It's this deep satisfaction and a yearning and longing for that. And then if that is in fact um, true about your chosen life path, then as Steve says, what's your vehicle or what's your course of action? What are you going to do? What steps are you going to take? And you'll get encouragement from some of the greatest modern day philosophers like Jordan Peterson, who will say, make it into an adventure. Whatever action you're going to take, make it adventurous and make sure that it's not only of interest to you, but that it's in the interest of others, that your community that you live in or influence is going to be affected positively by this life path adventure that you're going to go on. And it doesn't do a lot of good to identify your life path and be all enthusiastic, but it's going to create damage. It's going to create harm somehow. And Jordan Peterson's book is very in depth in this regard. He wrote a book recently. It's called "We Who Wrestle with God," and this is for people that really want to seriously understand the various aspects of the brain, how it works, how your brain interfaces with the silo of religion, and how that interfaces with God, and what exactly happens and goes on inside your brain when you're living your life path, when you're not. How do you go about actions that will suppress the different primordial impulses that might be holding you back? And he talks about another book that's called The Sacred and the Profane, that is another very macro oriented discussion about such things. And he talks about, where your executive function resides and how it acts as a top down repression of damaging impulses that humans tend to have, and how people can go about becoming very well integrated through this course of action, and identifying, where your calling is coming from and imagining a pathway that you're walking on. So you can close your eyes, imagine a path that you're going to go down, which is your life path. And is this something that is a calling to you? Do you feel the spirit calling to you to do this? Or is it doesn't really feel that good, and maybe it's something else that's compelling you to do it? And this is a time in life to discern the difference. Is this a true calling that's going to give me this deep satisfaction, that's going to help others? Or is it somehow being pushed along by one of these primordial impulses that have residence in the hypothalamus? And very, very fascinating information. You can also watch many different YouTubes. Many people have interviewed Jordan Peterson on this topic, including, you know, um, including Lex Friedman and also Andrew Huberman. And then Jordan Peterson has his own podcast as well.
Mm-hmm. Wow, fascinating stuff. And so important. A lot of questions that people have, and exactly where is this coming from? And all the different questions that go along with that. Fascinating, Bob. Really good stuff. Please continue.
Yeah, so just a couple more comments. There's this one phrase that talks about how the pathway appears when you have your goal firmly in mind. And quite often people will have a general sense, a general readiness to believe that this is kind of the goal they want to pursue, that this is their new life path, but nothing seems to happen to help them along the way. And they dream about it for years or decades, and people have regrets at the end of life. Books have been written by people that interviewed people who only had a day or two to live and asked them questions about their life, including what regrets do you have? And the biggest regret that these authors hear over and over again is the regret that someone did not pursue something that they always had wanted to pursue, but for different reasons, they never got a chance to do it. And a very big reason is this concept that they thought that something was blocking them. And thinking that something is blocking you can become a convenient excuse to not do the work or do the hard things to follow your life path. Because the truth of the matter is, there's probably not anything that is blocking you. And Neil Donald Walsh says this. He goes, the good news is there's nothing blocking you except for the fact that you think something is blocking you. Because one one man's block is just another man's small obstacle to jump over. And it's all about your attitude and whether or not you have that goal firmly in mind. And it's a solemn commitment to pursue your life path, to live out your life so that you don't have that regret on your deathbed. And this commitment, this firmness of your goal allows for pathways to appear, and maybe what you thought was blocking you, in the right mindset, a pathway appears to circumvent it and come out the other side and continue along the path. And so they the whole point is, if you think you know your life path and you really want to follow it, you better visualize it, right? You want to
Yes.
target your gaze, they say, beyond the voluntary, right? You want to have a meta target, like, okay, my target is to create a mindset, a spiritual connection, an understanding that's deep enough that it has the power to overcome any of the involuntary impulses that hold me back. And if my target can come through the lens of having my meta position, my higher mind, become what I'm working on, become where I'm working from, this is really the key to living out your life path, to accomplishing what it is that you think that you want to accomplish. And in doing this, prayer is the most powerful thing. When people set up to pray regarding something like this, by default, they are elevating themselves into a different tone, a different vibration that Pythagoras described. Because remember, tones and vibrations change day by day. The person born on one day is not in the same vibration as the person born the day after. And those vibrations are constantly changing. And so if you can elevate yourself to a place where you're connected with your creator and you can move and dance and avoid and progress in relation to the tones that are most compatible with you, this is a big advantage over someone who doesn't, and a really good reason to have a month by month numerology report guide that helps to show you ahead of time, before the month starts, where to dodge and weave and where to dive in.
Very cool. Well, I tell you what, Where are we here? We're at the end of an hour, Bob. This went so
Yeah.
fast. We've never talked about numerology before. We've talked about a few other esoteric things and their relevance to our physical being, but we've never covered this, and so that's pretty cool to hear something new. And again, Glynis's Got Your Number site will be posted below, and all the other videos that Bob was talking about with the inventor of Myotrol and all that will be in the description box below. Okay, Bob, we hit an hour, and according to the numerology, that is 60 minutes. 6 plus 0 is 6. Anyway, only joking. How about we close this thing up with your final thoughts on this topic and everything we've been talking about? And also, with that, your contact information for everyone, phone number, address, all of that. And by the way, everybody, you can go to patriotintelreport.com. Go to the left-hand side. You'll see a lady in a blue lightning storm. Click on that. That'll take you right to Bob's site. And also, with all of that, your final words of wisdom, sir.
Sure, Phoenix. And also, we mentioned about different people coming to visit us. We're at 5401 Central Avenue in St. Petersburg, Florida. And so if you're coming on vacation to St. Pete Beach, to Clearwater Beach, to Orlando, to Sarasota, even Naples, give a call if you want to come and visit, and I'll make sure that I'm here when you come. And if you want to call and talk to Lucy or Stephanie or Jim, the 800 number is 861-4609. And just to kind of sum up, Phoenix, I think the issue of life path, the reason that we thought about talking about it today, is there's a lot of change that's happening, a lot of high vibrational changes, and it could be that for many people, this is the time to reevaluate and decide where you're going to go, what you're going to do, and hopefully today some of what we talked about can be of help in that regard. But also the technology, right? Now, you already, the technology that you see now is just intense. Elon Musk just put out a new software update for his newer Teslas, and it looks like they're fully automated now, and they're safer than a human being driving, just in the last couple of weeks. And if you ask him, he says in 2 years that automated driving vehicles, self-driving vehicles, will be 10 times safer than the average human. And 2 years later, it'll be 100 times safer. And by the turn of the century, it'll be that there's no such thing as an accident anymore. And he talked about robots, where the human robots right now, when you shake hands with a human robot, it feels exactly like a human hand. And that, again, he goes in these 2-year increments. And right now, they've already been building these humanoid robots, and they're going to build about 500 of them this year. And then they're going to build 5,000 the following year. And the year after that, 500,000 humanoid robots that people can buy for their home or their business that will do all manner of different things for them. Wow. The artificial intelligence, now, we're hearing about what's new, like with Google Gemini. They developed a whole system of training for people that eliminates the need for human trainers. So if you want to learn to use an esoteric type of feature inside of an Excel spreadsheet that you don't know how to do, you can open up an Excel spreadsheet and open up in a window Google Gemini and say, hey, Gemini, I want to figure out how to use this new type of a table inside Excel. And, I know you can see that I have the spreadsheet open. Can you tell me what to do? And Gemini, just like it's a person sitting next to you, we go, oh yeah, no problem. I can show you how to do that. Yeah, you see up at the top left, take your cursor and click on tools and drag this over there. Yeah, good job. Yep, that's how you do it, and move this from that. And it's so complete, so accurate, and so slick that it literally has eliminated the need for any and all Excel spreadsheet teachers.
Amazing. Well, that's good news. That's good news for humanity. Bad news for Excel spreadsheet teachers.
Yeah, exactly. And the people making these videos are like, the title of the video is, "I'm saying goodbye now because I'm no longer needed." And these are the trainers are showing these videos. And they're like, go ahead and use this new thing because I'm not going to be around anymore. I'm busy figuring out what I'm going to do next.
That's funny. I want to interject something here. I did hear Elon Musk say, it's like maybe 3-4 weeks ago. He said that in the near future, and they're working on this, Tesla is personal taxi. And what these will be are like some type of Tesla vehicle that's going to be called your personal taxi that you can have at home, no driver needed. I mean, you could literally get in and say, we need to go to the soccer field. And it will take you wherever you need to go and pick you up on time. You can say, be back at 1:30, pick me up, and it'll come back and get you or park right there. And he said that these that they're developing will only cost $7,000 each.
Yeah.
Can you imagine that? $7,000. Everybody's going to have one of these. They're going to be everywhere. I mean, could you imagine how many parents have to drive the kids to this practice, that practice, take them to school, pick up, whatever, or pick things up? You'll literally be able to just say, okay, kids, hop in the taxi or whatever it is and say, take the kids to the soccer field and, or whatever. I mean, this is...
And you could send your humanoid robot shopping. I call my robot Phoenix. I'd be like, "Hey Phoenix, can you jump in the self-driving car and go down to the supermarket? Here, let me give you the list of the things I need. This. And go, okay, sure, Bob. Be back in a minute."
I'm going to call mine Bob.
There you go.
Hey, Bob.
Hey, listen, it'll be easy. We'll be able to overcome that 5 and 2 numerology, clash thing because we'll have robots.
There you go. I tell you what, it's fun to talk about this stuff, but it's real. Sci-fi world is here, and a paradigm, a new shift. We are really going into the shift of ages. And this is a fascinating topic, a lot of really cool things. Because you know what? Ideally, once we get away from all wars or banker wars and the trapped state of humanity that we've lived in for centuries, literally, millennia possibly, and get away from that with good things for humanity, we're going to have a whole lot more free time. And with 0-point energy, robots, self-driving cars, flying cars, who knows what else, And so we're going to need to decide what to do. So we will need our life path numbers because we shall have more free time where we can fulfill ourselves and help others.
Absolutely.
Very cool. Well, is that it? Are we finished up here?
That's it. Yeah, I think we are.
Okay, now.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. Okay, I just downloaded your list. I'm going to the store for you here in a minute. Okay, so.
Okay.
Don't wait up too long for the stuff. Anyway, Bob, very cool topic. A lot of good information. I really appreciate it. I know our listeners do. And again, everybody, these links to everything Bob's been talking about in the description box below. And I guess until next time, Bob, I guess that's it. And we're out of here.
All right. Well, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure being on with you, Phoenix. Have a great rest of your day.
Will do, Bob. Thank you. And it's always a pleasure. And everybody else, hope you are doing well. Hope you're healthy. Remember, without your health, you have nothing. Be sure and check these links out. Check out Bob's page. And give him a call if you have a question. Until next PIR, everyone, be well, be strong, be alert, and be positive. And if you don't know what your life path number is, click the links below. Until the next one, everyone, God bless, Phoenix and Bob out.